The wind blew softly against the big glass windows of the mansion, as the rain tapped gently like tiny fingers asking to come inside. The sky was gray, and the trees swayed quietly outside. Inside the mansion, everything was still and silent. No music, no laughter, no guests. A little girl sat near the window in a large soft wheelchair with a pink blanket over her legs. Her name was Lily. She was turning 10 today. The room around her was beautiful and bright. Colorful balloons floated above her head and shiny streamers hung from the ceiling. There was even a big chocolate cake on the table, with her name written in white icing. But there was something missing, something big. No one was there to celebrate with her, not even her father. Lily looked outside the window with sad eyes. Her long brown hair fell over her shoulders as she leaned her head on her hand. She watched the cars pass by and the people walking with umbrellas. She wondered if anyone even remembered her birthday. A soft voice came from the corner of the room. It was her nurse Maria. She said, "Happy birthday, Lily," and asked if she wanted to cut the cake. Lily gave a small smile but shook her head. She didn't want to cut the cake. Not without her dad. Her father was Raymond Blackwood, one of the richest and most powerful businessmen in the city. Everyone knew his name. Everyone feared him. But to Lily he was just Daddy. At least he used to be. Before the accident. 1 year ago Lily was in a car crash with her driver on the way to school. She had been reading a book and looking out the window when everything went black. When she woke up in the hospital, she couldn't move her legs. The doctors said she would never walk again. Since then, everything changed. Her father became even more busy with his company. He worked late hours. He took long trips. He stopped smiling. He stopped visiting her room. At first, he said it was just for a few days. Then days turned into weeks. Then months. Lily counted every day on the little calendar next to her bed. She put a star on her birthday and hoped he would come home for it. She even made a card for him with her favorite crayons. It had hearts and flowers and a big message inside. It said, "I miss you, Daddy, please come home." Now it sat on her lap, untouched. Maria tried to cheer her up by turning on music. But Lily asked her to turn it off. She didn't feel like dancing. She didn't feel like anything. She looked around the room again. Everything looked perfect. But nothing felt right. Suddenly the sky opened and the rain began to pour harder. Drops hit the window fast and loud. Lily stared outside, trying not to cry. Then she saw something. 2 figures walking by the gate. A man and a small boy. The boy held a red ball, and the man carried a grocery bag. They looked soaked and tired, but they were laughing. Real laughter. Warm and alive. The boy suddenly stopped and pointed at the window. He had seen her. Lily quickly looked away. But then she slowly peeked again. The boy was waving at her. No one ever waved at her. Lily lifted her hand slowly and waved back. The boy smiled. The man gently pulled the boy away, and they kept walking. But the moment stayed with Lily. For the first time that day, she felt something in her chest. A spark. A question. Who were they? Why were they smiling in the rain? Why did the boy wave at her? She looked down at the birthday card in her lap. Her fingers touched the edge of it slowly. She thought about the cake, the decorations, the silence. Then she thought about the boy, the man, the laughter. Somewhere out there someone was laughing even in the rain. And she was sitting here in silence with a cake no one would eat. Lily looked out the window again. But the boy and the man were gone. She didn't know their names. She didn't know where they were going. But she hoped they would come back, even just to wave again. She didn't want to feel invisible anymore. Not today. Not on her birthday. And far away, beyond the gate, the little red ball slipped from the boy's hands again and bounced toward the mansion. The red ball rolled across the wet sidewalk as the wind pushed it farther away from the boy's hands. He ran after it with quick little steps, splashing through puddles as his shoes soaked through. His laugh filled the air, even with a cold rain falling around him. His name was Max, and he had no idea that his ball was about to change everything. Behind the tall black gate, the ball bounced one more time and slipped through the space under the iron bars. It rolled gently across the clean stone path leading up to the big white mansion. Max stood outside the gate, looking in with wide eyes. He saw the ball near the front garden and pointed at it. "Dad, look, my ball went in there." His father Daniel came up beside him, breathing hard from carrying the grocery bag and chasing Max through the rain. Daniel looked through the gate and paused. "That house is huge," he said. "It looks like one of those castles in your storybooks." Max's eyes lit up. He pressed his face against the gate and saw something else. He saw a girl in a wheelchair watching him from the window again. It was the same girl from earlier with the soft brown hair and the blanket over her legs. She looked like a princess waiting in a tower. She was watching him carefully, not smiling, not frowning, just curious. Max waved again. This time, she didn't look away. "Daddy, can I go get the ball?" he asked. "I'll be quick, I promise." Daniel looked unsure. But something about the girl's lonely face made him say yes. Just for a moment, he said, "Be polite and don't touch anything." Max pushed the gate slowly. To his surprise, it wasn't locked. He slipped inside and ran to get the red ball. As he picked it up, he looked up at the window again. The girl was gone. Then he heard a small sound behind him. He turned and saw her right there. Not in the window, but near the front door. Her wheelchair was quiet and smooth on the stone path. She had come outside for the first time in weeks. "Hi, Max," said, holding the ball. "I'm Max. Sorry my ball came in your yard. I didn't mean to bother you." The girl looked at him for a long second. Then she said in a soft voice, "I'm Lily. You live here?" Max asked. She nodded. "It's a really big house," he said. "Do you ever get lost in it?" Lily gave a tiny laugh. "No, I know every corner. But I don't go far anymore." Max looked at her wheelchair. He didn't ask what happened. He didn't look scared. He just sat down on the steps and tossed the ball in the air. "Do you want to play something else?" he asked. "I have cards. Or we can make paper boats and race them in the puddles." Lily blinked. No one had asked her to play since before the accident. She didn't know what to say. So she said yes. Just then Daniel stepped in through the gate. He looked surprised to see Lily there with Max. "I'm so sorry," he said politely. "We were just passing by." The ball rolled in, and "It's okay," Lily said quietly. "I don't mind." Daniel noticed the chair. He noticed the blanket. He noticed the cake sitting untouched in the dining room, visible through the tall windows. "Is it your birthday?" he asked. Lily nodded again. "My dad was supposed to come, but he's busy." Daniel felt something in his chest. A soft sadness. He looked at Max. Then back at Lily. "Well then, happy birthday, young lady," he said with a gentle smile. Max gave her the ball like it was a gift. Lily smiled for real this time. Maria came to the door and looked surprised. But Lily told her, "It's okay. They're my friends." Daniel thanked her and began to lead Max out. "We'll let you get back to your day," he said. But Lily spoke again. "Will you come back tomorrow?" Daniel paused. Max looked up at his dad with hope in his eyes. "Can we?" "We'll see," Daniel said gently. That night Lily didn't cry herself to sleep. She held the red ball close to her chest and thought about the boy with the kind eyes and the man who didn't look afraid of her wheelchair. She thought about the rain, the laughter, the spark that came back. For the first time in a year, she felt like maybe she wasn't forgotten. Somewhere out there someone saw her, not as a patient, not as a problem, but as a person, and she hoped they would come back. Every afternoon Lily sat by the window waiting. She didn't say it out loud. She didn't tell Maria or the other house staff. But deep down, she was hoping to see the boy with the red ball again. The rain had stopped. The sky was clear. But something inside her had changed. She no longer felt completely empty. There was a small light now, a quiet hope. 3 days passed, and she almost gave up. Then one afternoon, she heard the sound of laughter again. She looked out the window, and there they were, Max and Daniel, walking past the gate with a grocery bag and the red ball in Max's hands. Lily quickly moved her wheelchair to the front door. Maria was surprised to see her again, asking to go outside. But Lily simply said, "I have guests." Maria opened the door without a word. Lily rolled herself forward. Max saw her and waved. "We came back," he said, smiling wide. "I brought my card game too." Daniel greeted her kindly and asked if it was still okay for them to visit. Lily nodded and said, "Yes, please. You're the only people who talk to me like this." They sat near the garden on the smooth stone path. Lily and Max played cards while Daniel watched and helped when they forgot the rules. They laughed. They joked. And for a moment, Lily forgot about her legs. The next day, they came again. And the next. And the next. Daniel would bring small snacks. Max brought puzzles and books. Lily began to smile more, even laugh. One day Max asked, "Can I push your chair around the garden?" Lily hesitated, then nodded slowly. Max carefully pushed her through the flowers. She pointed out the ones she liked. The yellow roses, the white lilies, the small purple ones that smelled like candy. "I used to run here," she said quietly. "Before." Max didn't say anything. He just listened. That was enough. Later Daniel found her music box on the table. It was broken. He asked if he could try to fix it. Lily said yes. He worked on it for a few minutes using a small tool from his keychain. Then slowly the music played again. The soft notes filled the air. Lily's eyes sparkled. "My mom gave that to me," she whispered. Daniel gave a small nod. "It's beautiful. Just like the memory." They didn't talk much about her mother. But that day she told them a little. How her mother used to sing to her. How she used to braid her hair. How the house felt warmer back then. Max listened carefully and held her hand. Sometimes that was better than words. The next afternoon Daniel and Max brought something special. A small cupcake with pink frosting and one candle. They sang happy birthday even though it was late. Lily closed her eyes and made a wish. "I wished for this," she said softly. "For friends." Daniel smiled. Then Max asked, "What does your dad do?" Lily paused. "He runs big companies and flies on planes and talks to people in suits." Max nodded. "So he's busy." Lily looked away. "He used to be fun. He used to tell stories and make pancakes. Now, he only works." "Do you miss him?" Max asked. "Every day," Lily said. They sat in silence for a while. Just the wind and the birds. But it wasn't a sad silence. It was a shared one. Later that evening Lily went to her room. She took out her crayon set and made a picture. It showed 3 people under a tree. One in a wheelchair. One with a red ball. One with brown hair and kind eyes. She placed it under her pillow like a secret treasure. She didn't tell anyone about Daniel and Max. Not even Maria. She didn't want it to end. She didn't want the silence to come back. And every day they returned. Always at the same time. Always with something new to share. Lily started drawing again. Started reading stories out loud. Started feeling something she hadn't felt in a long time. Alive. But deep down, a question grew quietly in the corner of her mind. What would happen if her father found out? Would he be angry? Would he send them away? For now she didn't want to think about it. For now she just wanted one more day with her friends. The morning sky was clear and soft with golden light pouring through the tall windows of the mansion. Lily sat in the garden near her favorite tree with Max beside her and Daniel reading a book on the bench. It was peaceful. It was warm. It felt like home. They had come again, just like always. Daniel brought orange slices. Max brought a new game. And Lily brought her smile. Every day was starting to feel better than the last. But today was different. Today something was about to happen that would change everything. Inside the house the sound of a car pulling up broke the quiet air. The black car with dark windows slowly stopped in front of the mansion. The driver opened the door carefully, and out stepped Raymond Blackwood. He wore a sharp black suit and shiny shoes. His face was serious and cold. He checked his phone as he walked up the steps. He hadn't planned to come home this early, but a last-minute meeting was canceled, and something had told him to return. He entered the house quickly. Maria looked shocked to see him. "So you're home early," she said. "Where is Lily?" he asked. "In the garden, sir, with some guests." "Guests?" His eyebrows raised. "I didn't invite anyone." He walked fast across the hallway toward the garden doors. And then he saw them, through the tall glass. His daughter, sitting in her wheelchair smiling. A boy beside her. A man sitting nearby. Lily laughing. Lily happy. For a second, he stood frozen. Then he opened the door, with a loud sound. Everyone turned. Daniel stood quickly. Max grabbed the red ball and looked up with wide eyes. Lily's smile faded. "Who are you people?" Raymond said in a sharp voice. "What are you doing here?" Daniel stepped forward calmly. "My name is Daniel. This is my son Max. We met your daughter by the gate one day. Her ball rolled in. She waved. We waved back." Raymond frowned. "And who gave you permission to come here again and again?" Lily spoke softly. "I did, Daddy." Raymond looked at her, surprised by her voice. He hadn't heard it so clear in months. "Why didn't anyone tell me?" he asked. "Because you're never here," Lily said. Her voice cracked just a little. "You didn't come for my birthday. You didn't even call. But they came." Raymond turned to Daniel. "I don't know your intentions, but this is private property. You can't just walk in here and play games with my daughter." Daniel nodded. "You're right. And I'm sorry. We never meant to cause trouble. We were just trying to be kind." She looked lonely. "We were only trying to help." Max stepped forward, holding the small drawing Lily had given him. It was a picture of the three of them under the tree. He handed it to Lily and whispered, "I'm sorry." Daniel took Max's hand and turned to leave. "Come on, buddy, let's go." Lily reached out. "Wait." But they were already walking away. Raymond stood still, the drawing still in his hand. He looked down at it. 3 smiling faces. One in a wheelchair. One with a ball. One who looked like a friend. That evening the house was quiet again. Lily didn't come out of her room. She didn't eat dinner. She just sat by the window, holding the picture Max had returned. Raymond sat in his study, looking at the same drawing. Then he opened a folder on his desk. Inside were photos of Lily before the accident. Running. Jumping. Smiling with her mother. Laughing with him. A time that felt so far away now. He remembered the songs. The pancakes. The silly bedtime stories. He remembered the promise he made to her the day she was born. That he would always protect her. That he would never let her feel alone. And now, a stranger and his son had done more for her than he had in months. He looked down again at the drawing. And for the first time in a long time, he felt something in his chest. A tightness. A quiet ache. He stood up and walked to Lily's room. He knocked. No answer. He opened the door, slowly. She was asleep. The drawing still in her hands. Tears on her cheeks. He sat beside her and whispered, "I'm sorry." She didn't wake, but her hand moved slightly toward his. He stayed there all night. Outside. The red ball sat quietly near the garden gate, waiting, just like Lily had waited, and like her. It wasn't ready to be forgotten. The morning sun peeked through the curtains as Lily opened her eyes slowly. Her pillow was damp from tears, but her heart felt different. Not lighter, not heavier, just different. Her room was quiet. No laughter, no games, no red ball. She looked down at her lap and saw the picture still there. The one Max gave her. The one her father had seen. She held it close and remembered the sound of their voices. The feeling of being seen. The sound of being cared for. She wheeled herself to the window and looked out. The garden was empty. No Daniel. No Max. No reason to smile. She had not spoken to her father since that afternoon. He had not spoken to her either. Not with words. But he had sat by her bed all night. And that meant something. Later that day Maria came in holding a small brown package. It was wrapped in simple paper with Lily's name written in blue crayon. No return address. No fancy ribbon. Just her name. Lily's heart beat faster. She opened the box with shaky hands. Inside was a letter folded carefully, a drawing, and something else. She opened the letter first. It was written in gentle handwriting. The words were simple. The message was clear. Dear Lily, thank you for being our friend. Max misses you very much. So do I. We didn't mean to upset anyone. We were just happy to know you. You are kind. You are brave. You made our days brighter. We are moving to another city tomorrow for a new job. I wish we had more time. But I know you will be okay. Because you are stronger than you know. Love. Daniel. Lily felt her throat tighten. Her hands trembled slightly as she unfolded the drawing. It was a new one. This time the three of them were on a train, looking out the window, smiling, waving goodbye. Then she saw the last thing inside the box. The red ball. Her favorite thing. Her only memory of their first meeting. Lily pressed the ball to her chest and closed her eyes. She did not cry. Not this time. But a single tear slid down her cheek. Down the hall Raymond stood silently near the doorway. He had seen the package arrive. He had watched his daughter open it. He had heard the silence afterward. A heavy kind of silence, full of meaning. He walked to his office and sat at his desk. He stared at his phone. Then at the picture of his wife and Lily from years ago. He knew what he had to do. He picked up the phone and made a call. An hour later, he stood outside Lily's room. He knocked once. She looked up slowly, her eyes red, her hands still holding the ball. I read the letter, he said softly. She said nothing. He stepped inside. I didn't know how much you missed them. I didn't know how much you were hurting. Lily whispered. I didn't want to lose them. They made me feel like me again. Raymond sat down. I was afraid. Afraid of watching you suffer. Afraid of doing the wrong thing. So I did nothing. And that was worse. He reached into his coat pocket. There's a flight in 2 hours, he said. I can take you to the station. If we hurry, we might catch them before they leave. Lily's eyes widened. Really? You'd take me? Raymond nodded. Yes. If it means seeing you smile again. I'd go anywhere. They drove fast through the streets. Raymond held her hand gently as she looked out the window, her heart racing, her hope rising. At the station, people moved quickly, bags rolling, announcements echoing, voices calling out. Lily looked around. Then she saw him. Max was standing near the train with his red backpack. Daniel was beside him checking the tickets. Lily called out his name. Max turned. His eyes lit up. Lily. He ran toward her as fast as he could. She opened her arms. They hugged like they had known each other forever. Daniel looked surprised to see Raymond. But Raymond stepped forward and held out his hand. I came to say thank you, he said. Thank you for being there when I wasn't. Daniel shook his hand with respect. We were just doing what anyone would do. Not anyone would have, Raymond replied. The train doors opened and the conductor called for boarding. Daniel looked at Max, then at Lily, then at Raymond. Would you like us to stay? He asked. Raymond looked at Lily, her face full of light. He nodded. If you want to. We'd love that. And just like that, something old ended, and something new began. 1 year later the sky was blue and soft clouds floated gently above the tall white mansion. In the garden under the same old tree colorful balloons danced in the wind. A table was set with paper plates and cups shaped like stars. There were presents in shiny wrapping paper and a big cake covered in pink frosting with 10 candles on top. This time Lily was not alone. She sat in her wheelchair wearing a bright yellow dress with tiny flowers on it. Her hair was tied in soft braids with little ribbons at the ends. She looked happy. She looked free. She looked like herself again. Max stood beside her holding a party horn in one hand and a funny card in the other. He had drawn a picture of the two of them flying in a rocket ship made of cake. Daniel stood near the table helping Maria carry out lemonade and snacks. Raymond was setting up a speaker and playing Lily's favorite songs from when she was little. Everything was different now. And yet, it all felt just right. Lily looked around and smiled. This is the best birthday I ever had, she said. better than castles, better than ponies, better than anything. Raymond walked over and handed her a small box wrapped in silver paper. She opened it slowly and found a photo album inside. The first page was a picture of her as a baby in her mother's arms. The next was her running through the garden. Then her in the hospital with Daniel and Max by her side. And then, a new photo. The four of them standing under the tree, smiling, together. Lily touched the page gently. "Thank you, Daddy. I love it." Raymond bent down and kissed her head. "I love you more than anything in the world," he said. "I'm sorry it took me so long to show you." Daniel watched quietly with a soft smile. He had become more than just a guest now. He was part of the family in a way no one had expected. He still worked hard, still kept his humble life. But now there were dinners together, movie nights, board games and garden walks. And always laughter. Max blew the party horn and shouted, "Time for cake." Everyone gathered around as Lily looked at the candles. "Make a wish," Maria said. Lily closed her eyes and thought about everything that had happened. The day she sat alone in the rain, the red ball, the first cupcake, the letter, the goodbye, the second chance. She made her wish with a quiet breath and opened her eyes to the people she loved most. Then she smiled. "I don't need to tell the wish. It already came true." They clapped and laughed and cheered. Daniel cut the cake. Raymond handed out slices. Max got frosting on his nose, and Lily giggled. Even the staff smiled from the windows, watching a house once full of silence, now full of life again. Later that evening, as the sun began to set, Lily sat under the tree with Max. They watched the sky turn pink and gold. Max leaned back on the grass and sighed. "Do you think we'll still be best friends when we're 100 years old?" Lily laughed. "Yes. Even if we have canes and gray hair, we'll still play cards and eat cupcakes. Promise. Promise." Daniel and Raymond stood nearby, talking softly. Daniel looked at Lily and Max, then turned to Raymond. "You've come a long way." Raymond nodded. "Thanks to you. I almost lost her, but you helped me find her again." Daniel smiled. "She helped all of us. Sometimes it just takes one person to remind us how to feel again." The red ball sat beside the tree, worn now from a year of play, but still bright, still important, still magic. The stars began to shine as the garden lights glowed. Music played gently in the background. And for the first time in a long time, everything felt complete. No one knew what the future would bring. But in that moment, in that garden, on that birthday, Lily was not broken, not forgotten, not lonely. She was surrounded by love, by friendship, by family, and it was the birthday she would never forget.